and welcome to Talk Art. I am Sally Rayn, and I will be your host as we explore the world of the artist and the art that's all around us. Talk Art is sponsored by Silicon Valley Open Studios. For 25 years, during the first 3 weekends in May, over 400 local artists opened their studios to the public. For event information, artist directories, and maps, go to the website svos.org. Our artist is Carina Rossner. She is a local lapidary artist and jeweler who creates unique jewelry made of gold and silver that's been recycled, and beautiful mineral specimens just like the ones that I'm wearing. She claims that she is an artist by mistake, but I will let her tell you that story. So welcome, Carina.
Thanks, Sally. Thanks for having me. I think if you had asked me 6 years ago if I would ever be on an art show, I'd say, you have to be kidding me. I never expected to be an artist, and I really did end up here by mistake.
Well, tell us a little bit about your background. Where did you start out?
So I'm one of those MBA business wonks that came to the Valley to work in high tech and was all going to make a difference in the world through high tech. And maybe I did, maybe I didn't. But around 5 or 6 years ago, I got sort of burnt out by high tech and decided to focus on my family and spend time at home. And I took up beading as a hobby, and that kept me sane. And that was sort of fun. But then I moved on to work with other pieces. Sort of my business strategy changed, and I worked in a different direction. So 5 years later, I am an artist, sort of, though I kept waiting for somebody to say, you are now an artist. It took me a couple of years to actually be able to say with a straight face what I do.
Yes. So how did you get involved with using the minerals? Tell us a little bit about that. They're beautiful specimens.
They are gorgeous. Back in college, way too long ago, I wanted to be a geologist, and I was really fascinated by minerals, and I used to spend all of my time hanging out at the mineral galleries. I even named my goldfish after wolfenite and other orange minerals. So I didn't do anything with it. I ended up going into high tech. I studied the history of technology. I went on and did the MBA thing. But then when I started to play with the beads, I remembered the rocks, and I started to really want to go back to them. So I started with beads, and I did a lot of beaded work, what I called story necklace, which was these medleys of different stones. But the more I was around the stones, the more I wanted to actually work with the stones themselves. So I made the mistake of going to a gem show and falling in love with the rocks again.
Yes.
But what I wanted to do was show you how the rocks are in their natural state.
Yes.
So how they grow, their crystal structures, their natural colors. I'm really a lot more about geology than I am about jewelry.
Well, you can tell in your pieces that's really the focal point of it is the rock, and everything is built around what the rock itself looks like. They're gorgeous. So first you say you went to business school, Harvard Business School, and now you're an artist. I would imagine that you have a pretty good business model for your art business. Could you tell us a little bit about how you go about do that? How did you get started, and what does it look like now?
So that's sort of an assumption that the shoemaker's children don't go shoeless. I think it's one of those things where even though I have the business background, it took me a while to look at this like a business, because before I was looking at like a passion, like a hobby. How I started was doing what every other artist does, is the sort of local art and wine circuit, doing the shows, trying to have home shows, trying to sell my work, trying to get validated by people, wanting to spend money for it. But I quickly realized that I was way too lazy to do that. And I didn't want to be spending every weekend on the road setting up shows.
Yes,
it is really difficult. It's like a lot of work, way too much work. So I took a step back and said, I really like making the stuff, but I don't need to be out there every day selling the stuff. So I decided to go wholesale. And instead of pursuing the individual retail market, the people who come and drink lots of wine and then forget what they've bought from you at the booth. I wanted to sell to galleries, to stores, to museums, and have them spend their fabulous energy selling my work or marketing my lines. So I had to figure out how to do that. And I took a plunge and I went and did the San Francisco gift show thinking, oh, they're going to love my work. It was the most expensive education I've ever had. So I quickly found out what I needed to do to be able to sell to stores, to be able to market my line to people who could then go on and market my work, because I wanted to focus on making the art.
That's the dilemma of every artist, I think.
The dilemma of every artist. You know, we all want to spend all of our time in the studios making.
Yes.
And, you know, God forbid we should, yes. So what I learned were a couple of really key things. And one is that I needed to have a very distinctive look.
Yes.
And I needed to come up with a niche, a focus.
Yes.
So I saw the things that you could get at the local gem shows that were being imported for $12 that I couldn't even buy the materials for $12, and I wanted to do something unique. So I decided I was going to do one of a kind. So each of these pieces is a one. There's no three of or whatever. Frankly, nature comes one of a kind, so my work comes one of a kind. The other thing I decided to do was to focus on the natural stones. And that was an unusual thing because I'm not doing the precious stones, the rubies, the garnets, the topazes, which is what you're wearing, but that's gold, that's different. And also to create a line, so a grouping that would look like what it would look like in a jewelry case in a retailer. So have a big, wow, mambo piece as a centerpiece. Have some smaller pieces for those people who don't have the guts to wear something this glorious. Have some complementary colors, different sizes, different products, earrings, pendants, belt buckles, cufflinks, wrist cuffs, the works. And essentially think of my work and the art that I was creating as how it was going to end up. So if I want to be the prime showcase as you walk in the door at the Museum of Modern Art's gift shop, then my work has to look and hold together like that. So that's what I decided to do. And so I go to, rather than the local art shows, I go to the big wholesale shows. So that's like the Buyer's Market for American Craft in Philadelphia, the American Craft Retail Expo in Las Vegas, the Museum Store Association Expo that happens in a different city every year. And that's where American art stores, art craft galleries, museum stores all come to look for new artists to market their work.
Well, it's beautiful work.
Thank you.
Now, for the creation part of it, we went into your studio and we created a video of new processes that you use to create the different kinds of jewelry that you create. And so we'd like to take a look at that video now.